Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit more shorter term and longer term technical analysis on Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets, guys, because in today's video, we need to discuss something major that happened on Bitcoin yesterday. If you're watching our live stream, then you'll probably have seen this gigantic crash where Bitcoin crashed around 20% in the span of just 3 to 5 minutes or so. We were talking about in yesterday's video about why we need to be careful because it's very possible that a major correction is coming on Bitcoin, and we've now seen at least what may be the start of one. Whether or not this is over yet is something we're going to be discussing in today's video, and I want to discuss whether or not Bitcoin can actually bounce bullish off of the level of support around $11,500 to $11,700 and continue moving to the upside, or if this is just a taste of what's to come and Bitcoin's about to have even more bearish price action. Guys, I think you're going to get a lot of value out of today's video. If you do, make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, guys. If you were new here, I know we had a lot of new people join us during yesterday's live stream. Tell us in the comment section down below if you were one of them. But anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and dive right on into it. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. The first thing I want to discuss is a little bit of a refresher about what has happened yesterday, and then we're going to go ahead and zoom out because there's a lot of technical analysis going on here. Yesterday, I was watching this ascending triangle pattern, and I was trying to catch this breakout with some leverage because I knew we were going to break bullish, or at least I thought we were, and I was going to put a trade in here and sell it up here, and unfortunately, I had a bunch of business come up all at once, and I couldn't get to any of these trades that I wanted to make, but we didn't actually manage to make that, but that's okay. Bitcoin ran up here, and Bitcoin actually entered a little bit of a triangle pattern right here. It was more of kind of a wedge, but nevertheless, it was definitely a pattern right here. If we come down to the minute chart, we'll be able to see it a little bit better. A lot of this was happening on the minute chart yesterday during the live stream. We saw Bitcoin come into this little formation right here, which we did eventually break bearish out of. We came down and tested the level of support around $13,600, which I was talking about on the live stream, with resistance being over there. That was, of course, going to be our level of support. So we tested it, bounced, and a lot of people thought we were going to go higher. I wasn't so sure. I was still more skeptical on the market. You guys know I've been more bearish on Bitcoin over the last day or two. We came down here, and we did eventually break to the downside quite substantially. This happened, even though it looks like it happened within one candlestick, it happened in like 15 seconds. This crash was gigantic. We had a massive amount of volume come in, absolutely enormous crash on Bitcoin, especially when you consider how quickly it happened. Bitcoin crashed something like 15% or more in the span of 2 or 3 minutes. And if you take into consideration the entire pullback on like the hourly chart, for example, it looks even worse than that. Bitcoin had a gigantic pullback. If we measure the entirety of this pullback, it comes close to 20%. But from there, guys, Bitcoin continued trading sideways. We had a little bit of a bounce, and overnight here, we've actually established a downtrend of resistance, which we're looking to be testing at the moment I'm recording this at 8:11 in the morning Eastern time. I'd like to see what Bitcoin does here as to whether or not it can actually break bullish here and get above this downtrend of resistance, or fall below this level of support and continue lower. I've been talking about in a couple videos about how we need to have a pullback and how Bitcoin is overdue for one. But guys, so far I want to make it clear that one, this is nothing to be concerned about. There's plenty of money to be made in Bitcoin. You can short just as easily as you can long if you have the right exchange. And every cent that we go down is more Bitcoin you can buy with your fiat currency and start buying more Bitcoin. But also at the same time, I want to caution you guys because there is a decent chance that this might not be over yet. We're still kind of deciding whether or not this is over. There's a bit of a zone of support in between about $11,200 and $11,700 right in here. This is a very crucial and important zone. Bitcoin has been using this as a level of resistance for quite some time. We managed to plow our way through it, and now we're coming back down and testing it as a level of support. Whether or not Bitcoin can bounce off of this level of support and move to the upside, or if Bitcoin actually falls through here, is yet to be seen. And it's kind of hard to predict that right now because Bitcoin is kind of ignoring some of its technicals at the moment. We're going to have to wait and see exactly what Bitcoin does. What I would caution you guys to do, what I would not advise you guys to do, but maybe have you think about doing, is be prepared for both scenarios. Be prepared for the bearish scenario and the bullish scenario so that you stand to gain and make profit in both of them. There's not a really clean, well-defined level of support, line of support, I should say, that Bitcoin is trying to test other than maybe 11.7, but we've had a couple wixes go below that, so it's not necessarily the best way to use a stop loss because a couple of those would have gotten faked out. Moving right along here, I do want to zoom out to the longer term time frames and bring up the Fibonacci retracement tool, because a lot of you guys have been talking to me about it, and we were looking at it on yesterday's live stream. This is looking to be a very important piece of Bitcoin technical analysis at the moment. As we can see, Bitcoin rallied on its candlestick all the way up here, on its wick, excuse me, all the way up here and tested resistance right around $13,800. We blew past 61.8% a little bit, but as you can see, that's basically where we got resistance, is at the 61.8% Fibonacci level. And while there are some people that level what I consider very valid criticisms at Fibonacci, for example, you can really just kind of set Fibonacci anywhere you want. You could have the bottom down here and the top right here, and then you would see that we're testing the 78.6% Fibonacci level, for example. Even though Fibonacci does have its own problems, Fibonacci is used by a vast majority of traders, and because technical analysis is generally driven by those doing the technical analysis, then Fibonacci does have a lot of importance to it, because a lot of people pay attention to it. If people pay attention to technical analysis, then it becomes important because so many people are trading around it. And the 61.8% Fibonacci level is the most important Fibonacci level. If you guys were to divide 21 by 13, you would come up with 1.615 or so. If you go out to larger numbers in the Fibonacci ratio, I'm not going to get into all of that in today's video, but if you go out farther, then you get to 1.618, that is called phi, or the golden ratio. If you take the inverse of that, then that is 0.618, and that's where we get this Fibonacci number from. If you zoom out here, you're going to see the actual golden ratio is up there. So what we're trying to get at here is basically that Bitcoin went up and tested a Fibonacci level and then came back down and tested another one as a level of support. We ran up here, tested this Fibonacci level right here as our support, and then we came back down, and in yesterday's live stream, as it would have it, I was telling you guys that it was probably going to pull back to $11,700, and we pulled back to within like $5 of that. That was very funny. We saw Bitcoin rally up here and then pull right back down to another Fibonacci level. And the reason this is important is because we're seeing major swings on Bitcoin. We're not seeing Bitcoin move a couple $100 anymore. We're seeing Bitcoin move literally $2,000 in the span of a couple of minutes. If we look back in here to the minute chart, then we will see exactly what I'm talking about. Bitcoin did not move just a little bit here. Bitcoin had a major crash. A lot of people some people in the chat were saying, "Oh, Jeb, you don't know what crash means." I think 14% in the span of literally 2 minutes would constitute a crash, mister. Bitcoin dove $2,000. We're seeing a lot more volatility now than we were several months ago, and that's a very crucial development, because what it means is that Bitcoin is seeing a lot more ability to have profit and a lot more ability to have loss. But at the same time, we're seeing a lot more volume flow back into the space, and we're also seeing a lot of that interest in the market, and a lot of that trading volume in the market, a lot of that retail interest in the market, a lot of that volatility in the market, all of those types of fundamental and technical indicators flowing back into the space in a very bullish way. Whether or not Bitcoin is moving $2,000 to the upside or to the downside, in my opinion, is a good thing, because as we see more volatile trades come in and we see more volume flow into the space, we're going to see a lot more adoption in the space, because people are seeing more profit-making potential. I remember back over here in this time zone from about between the beginning of September all the way up until we fell below $6,000 for about 2 months there's nothing to talk about in Bitcoin. It was boring. I have no idea what I was making videos on back here, because Bitcoin had nothing. It just wasn't doing anything, and that is not conducive to adoption. So even though these volatile moves do not really represent what we want to see in the end game for Bitcoin, eventually we'd like to see Bitcoin taper off and stop being so volatile so it can be used as a proper currency. For right now, to drive adoption and to drive interest to the space, I don't think there's anything wrong with these volatile moves. So with all that said, let's try and figure out what exactly Bitcoin is doing and where Bitcoin is going, because I know that's the question on all of your minds. Well, guys, here's the deal. I know you're not going to like this answer, but this is the only rational and justifiable answer that I can give you. I'm not really sure which direction Bitcoin is going to go right now, guys. I had a very strong feeling in my gut. I've talked to you guys about gut feeling before, and it's done me wonders in the last 48 hours, and it will do you guys wonders also if you build on that. My gut was telling me that some kind of correction was coming. I didn't know exactly when it was going to happen. I didn't know exactly how big it was going to happen, but there was something about the chart telling me it was going to happen, and it did happen. We saw Bitcoin crash about 18%. With that said, is Bitcoin going further, or is it going to bounce? Well, I think that's going to be decided with that downtrend of resistance I was showing you right here. Whether or not Bitcoin can continue moving to the upside or to the downside is yet to be seen. There are technical indicators that are pointing us to the upside. There are technical indicators that are pointing us to the downside. And there's also fundamentals that are pointing us to the upside and to the downside. I think Bitcoin is going to probably see another correction in the next couple of months of at least the same size, but that correction might not come tomorrow. If Bitcoin does bounce here, this was an amazing time for the bulls to regain gain their strength and for the bears to make their profits so that Bitcoin can continue driving higher. If Bitcoin does bounce here, we probably will see Bitcoin move to above $15,000 or so. But if we do see it correct, we could probably see Bitcoin come down here to test $10,000 or even slightly lower. I can't give you guys an exact answer on what Bitcoin's going to do because I don't know, and I don't know because Bitcoin doesn't know, and Bitcoin doesn't know because the traders don't know. Nobody really knows what's going on with Bitcoin right now. That's not really just me. It's very hard to predict Bitcoin when it's having such volatile moves that aren't taking into consideration technical analysis as much as they normally would, simply because the technicals have been being ignored for a little while. That's not to say technical analysis is invalid. It's just to say that sometimes you have to step back and use your own gut feeling to override those technicals, because all of our technical indicators have been reading overbought signals for a very long time now. Anyway, guys, I do apologize for the short video, but that is pretty much going to wrap it up. Thank you for everyone who tuned into the live stream yesterday. We had a couple people drop some massive donations. Andre donated $100 in Swiss francs, which is worth about 102 US dollars. Thank you to him. Also, thank you to FF Matt and everyone else who donated during the live stream. I do very much appreciate it. I hope you guys did enjoy the live stream. We're going to be doing more in the future. We had like 400 subscribers join us during that live stream. Welcome if you are new to the channel. Like I said, guys, if you enjoyed today's video and you enjoy the daily uploads and the live streams we're doing, make sure you smash that like button. It does help out the channel when you do so. And if you're interested, you can also hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be updated every time a new video goes live. But anyway, guys, I do want to say one thing before we wrap it up. I do want to ask your opinions in the comment section down below. What do you think Bitcoin is going to do here? Do you think it's going to rally from here and we're going to bounce off of this zone that I have on my chart, and you think we're going to continue going higher? Or do you think Bitcoin's going to fall through the floor and continue further to the downside? Do you think we're going to $10,000, $7,000, $6,000? Where do you think we're going? I want to hear your opinions on that in the comment section down below. But anyway, guys, that is pretty much going to do it for today's video. I do want to thank each and every single one of you for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.